It's Q&A video time. In the last video, I was talking about mixer settings and achieving unity gain, which is 0 dB without being weak or over boosted. This is the cleanest signal you can send out to your speakers. I showed you how to do that. Turn your master up to about 3 o'clock. Leave it there. You adjust your gain/trim, which is your input signal, to 0 dB. Not too hot, not too cold. This is 0, the last green on this mixer. Sometimes this is the first amper, but on this mixer it's the last green. We'll do the same thing on the second channel. We'll adjust this to 0 dB. Just right about there. And then we use this as our volume, which is our line fader. We can bring this up to 8, and if we do that, we achieve 0 dB across the whole board. A little more, and you got 0 dB, and that's pretty cool. What a lot of people were saying in the video was, as cool as these settings are, 8 isn't going to cut it, because the way they DJ is they bring their line fader all the way up, like that. So to hit 8 ain't going to happen. So what one person suggested, and it's probably a pretty good suggestion, is to go ahead and crank your line fader all the way up to 10, and then come here on the master and bring it down until you hit 0 dB. So a little bit of a cut there, and you're still good. You can still do this and hit 0 dB. In fact, we can be a little hotter than that. Right about there. There we go. So it's not quite 3 o'clock. It's like, I don't know, 2:30 or something like that, I guess. So you can absolutely do this. And this is going to be a really good compromise to redlining or going into the amber or whatever. You're still going to get a pretty clean sound out of this. It'll work for you. You can absolutely do that. I don't know that this is the best sound you're going to be able to get. And I'll explain why. Well, first of all, if I mess with this master a little bit, I'm also screwing with my microphone gain structure. So I'm going to have to change that a little bit. And I hate mic teching. It's the worst. I'm handing microphones to amateurs who don't really know how to use them. Sometimes I got to turn them up. Sometimes I got to turn them down. Sometimes I need some bass. And if I screw with this, I'm losing a little bit of gain through my mic, which I may need. The other thing, and this may or may not be true, I don't know, not an audio engineer, is that there's a certain amount of voltage that comes through this master knob, okay? And if I cut a little bit, I'm robbing the voltage a little bit. It's just the output signal. Anything that's a line output, which is kind of what your master would be on here, is just like a CD player, or let's say your iPod's headphone out, or your TV's audio out, whatever it happens to be, actually has a little bitty amplifier in there. And that little bitty amplifier sends out this little bitty signal to go to your line inputs on your mixing board or whatever. It's the same thing here. And that's, yeah, decibels is the measurement of loudness. But there might be something with that voltage too. I'm robbing a little bit of voltage maybe by doing this. Personally, I like to run it here. When I was first learning how to do this, I also DJ'd like this. And I had to break the habit at the club I was working at. Here's how I did it. I took a piece of electrical tape and I laid it right across 8 on the line faders. All of them. Just straight across like this. This is kind of my training wheels to hit 8. And now, whoops, wrong fader. Now I'm hitting 8. And I don't have to look to see, you know, where it is. The tape has essentially stopped me from going any further. That works. You can try this if you want to try the 8 and get the optimum gain structure. Something else that I've seen done that I think is really ridiculous is I've actually seen clubs put physical screws into the top of the line fader to prevent you to go all the way to the top. Do not recommend that. Not one little bit. But I've seen it for reals. It's a little scary, but I have seen it. Here's another little benefit of running something like 8 here on the volume control. And here's just a weird scenario that I'll throw at you. Let's say that you're DJing at a wedding or a club or whatever, and you throw a track on like Journey's Don't Stop Believin'. You know the sing-along part where it's just piano and vocals? You may actually come down here in volume. You may lose like 3-6 decibels or something like that. You don't have any headroom if you're all the way up here. However, if you've got a big sing-along going on and you got a packed dance floor and you need a little more volume, you can get a little 3 dB boost by just simply doing that and get it a little louder going through the speakers during the sing-along portion. Then you can bring it back down when you are getting into the drums and the heavy bass and such, which is going to put you back at 0 dB. Just a little example. So, sometimes there's lulls in songs and you want a little bit of a boost. That gives you a little bit of a boost. In this case, we're hitting amber, but if the song was quiet, you wouldn't be. And look, we're getting, I don't have my glasses on, but I'm pretty confident that's a 3 decibel boost. That can come in handy. So that's just another benefit from running it like this. But everybody does it different. We're all artists. We all do things different ways. You do not have to do it the way I showed you how to do it. That's just how I do it. It's the way people much smarter than me told me how to do it a long time ago. So I still do it that way. But yeah, always, always, always do you. With any of my videos, I'm always trying to do more good than harm. So I'm trying to help. If this does not work for you for whatever reason, that's fine. We're still friends. But yeah, there's an alternative that you can use with, bringing this master down just a hair. But it could affect other things like your microphone. You're not going to have headroom anymore. And you may be lacking some voltage coming out of that master output. I don't know. Not an audio engineer. Another question that came in was an interesting one. They were talking about running the mic mixer the way I suggested, where a lot of people will tell you to run the output of your DJ controller mixer into your little Yamaha secondary microphone mixer. I suggested that if you have a premium Pioneer mixer or Allen & Heath or whatever brand you have, and you've paid a lot of money for it because you wanted really good clean outputs and inputs, and then you run that signal through a $200 Yamaha mixer out to your speakers, you've actually degraded your quality here a little bit. You're dealing with the Yamaha outputs now. You're not dealing with the nice controller mixer outputs. So I'm suggesting run your secondary microphone mixer into an auxiliary of your controller mixer. Just an empty channel you have. I mean, most people aren't using 4 channels when they DJ, and even if they are, there's usually an open auxiliary, and it might just be a volume knob. But you don't need a lot because you're doing all your EQing on the Yamaha mixer itself. So you can run that into the aux, and then you're using your nice, clean, strong, healthy outputs of your mixer directly to your speakers. I think, personally, that's a better way to go. Some people argued, hey, wait a minute. I'm worried that my mixer controller goes. And if it does, a lot of people have suggested that you can run like an iPod or something or a tablet off of your little Yamaha mixer. So if your mixer breaks down or your controller breaks down, you still have that to work with. And it's not going to work if you run it into the mixer and the controller out to the speakers. Look, I'm only suggesting this if you've got a good quality mixer. If you bought, let's say, a Pioneer, what's the big Pioneer mixer? The really cool one, the Opus Quad. You spent $3,000 on this thing, and you're running your output signal through a $200 Yamaha mixer. That's probably not a good idea. However, if you have a cheap mixer or controller, you don't trust it, and you're really worried about something breaking, then yeah, run it the other way. If you don't trust your mixer or controller, do that. But if you've got good clean outputs and you paid for them, use them. Don't compromise them by running them through a $200 Yamaha mixing board. That's my suggestion on that. Anyway, that's the Q&A video. Thank you for watching. Got more videos coming up, probably later on today. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Practice and enjoy.